So in this video I decided to draw the scene from Hazbin Hotel season 2 where the Alister was getting jumped by all the 3 weeks. To be specific, the scene in which Vox attacks Alister. So this is a dynamic pose, and I'm going to be honest with you guys, I don't know how to draw a dynamic pose that well, so it is going to be a practice session for me to learn how to draw dynamic poses. So I was able to get a good shot of and a good idea of how to draw Alister and Vox in this scenario, and I started drawing them. The face of Alister didn't come out as well as I wanted it to be, and the arms and the legs were a bit too short. So I later on fixed them. Not right now, I will show you later. And then I started to draw Vox, and immediately I realized that I didn't do the face that wide enough. So that was a big problem for me. And then I realized that oops, I accidentally drew Vox a bit too thick, to say the least. His arms, legs and waist are a lot more wider than they were in the actual original picture and the show. So it was a oopsie from my side, a hiccup from my side. I'm sorry for that. Other than that, I then do some major detailings on both of the characters and try to color them out, make a contrast out of them with the black and white itself, because I don't use colors. And I was initially thinking that it will not be that difficult, but then I realized they both use some rather dark shades because the characters are in hell, so makes sense. But that was a major problem for me, because that makes a problem where I cannot create that much of a contrast naturally. Also, the weird flaps coming out of Alister's jacket or coat or what, trench coat, whatever it is, I don't know the specifications and the nomenclature. It was a bit too difficult for me to draw. I'm not going to lie in this one. As for Vox, the hat keep on merging on with the television head of the Vox is what I can say the terminology wise. But yeah, also the bow tie was rather annoying to draw and to color for some unknown reasons. Like, I usually don't have that difficulty, and you will be thinking, oh, it's just a bow tie. It will not be that difficult, but it was very difficult. Then I switched to markers so that I can get a lighter shade of grade. So I used my smaller pen marker to just say tighten up the borders and make them a little bit more pronounced so that they don't get camouflaged after I do the coloring in the Vox major suit. And after I use my marker to do the basic work for the suit, I use the marker basically because it helps me to get this very light shade of grey, and it is actually quite useful in major times. As for Alister, I just use my regular pen for him, and I will say it has a lot more control, but the quality output of the pen is not as good as I wanted. So I use the marker for the pants again so that I can get a better contrast, and this is then I use the same marker to do the hairs, specifically the tips of the hair for Alister, and then I use my thinner marker, the marker with the thinner nib, for remaining of the details and to fix any problems and mistakes. This was the final result. I hope you like it. Next up, I decided to spice up the things and thought, what if Alister was the radio head instead of Vox being the TV head, and Vox was the demon, specifically the reindeer demon, instead of him being the TV demon. Basically, I'm switching both of the characters at this point because why not? And seems like fandom maybe likes it or maybe not, but I don't know about it. Anyways, I started to draw it, and I used the same type of radio which Alister uses in the show to draw Alister's head. As for Vox, I use his human design, that being Vincent, in order to draw him. However, it didn't came out as well as I wanted to be because of the weird angles and the way it is. But that ended up helping me in the long run, because Alister in the lore is meant to be a lot more uglier in his demon form than his human form. And so making Vox a human head instead of a TV head and making his human face a bit more ugly and distorted worked in my favor, because now he is ugly in his demonic form just like Alister is in lore of the show. You can say that in a way Vox is getting his face distorted just like he got his face distorted in the actual show. Again, because of him fighting against Alister, which provoke him and turn him a bit too irrational and a bit too emotional. As for the Alister, I decided to draw him in the fashion of Vox, that being giving him the same suit as Vox originally has in the show. As for Vox, I'm giving him the same suit as Alister originally have in a show, but a little bit distorted. Then I use my marker in order to cover both of them up and give some color and contrast, but that ended up backfiring me because now they look like as if they are wearing some sort of tuxedo. However, you can still see the stripes and the bow tie of Vox on Alister, now with his radio have instead. As for their horns, I decided to draw Alister with radio antenna and Vox with TV antenna for deer horns. This is the final result. I hope you like it. Okay, now I know the way they both came out to be was not as good as I wanted to be, but then again, I'm still learning, and it does have me to learn a lot more about how to draw characters and add more of a dynamic pose. So, if you like the video and the style of mine in which I draw, then make sure to subscribe, and I will see you next time.